Our story continues with Lacey Chabert, who set out for what she thought would be a simple, peaceful hike through the forest, completely unaware that the sky above her was quietly brewing something far more dramatic. The air was crisp, the birds sang, and the world seemed calm, but nature had its own plans in store. As Lacey wandered deeper into the woods, the sun slowly vanished behind a thick curtain of clouds. The light dimmed, and a sudden chill crept into the air. The wind picked up, rustling the leaves and whispering warnings through the trees, as if urging her to turn back. She paused for a moment, noticing how the swirling leaves danced at her feet, spinning in frantic circles. The forest, once welcoming, now seemed to hold its breath. Lacey sensed the storm building, her path darkening with every step. Suddenly, she remembered an old ranger cabin marked on her map, a small, weathered shelter tucked away in the woods. It was her only hope for safety if the weather turned worse, and she quickly checked her bearings, feeling a surge of urgency. The first cold raindrops began to fall, dotting the leaves and soaking the earth. The air grew heavy with the scent of rain, and the gentle patter quickly turned into a steady drizzle, signaling that the storm was only just beginning. Lacey quickened her pace, her heart pounding in her chest as thunder rumbled in the distance. Each step felt more urgent, her senses heightened by the growing storm. The forest around her seemed to close in, shadows lengthening as the sky darkened. The once familiar woods transformed before her eyes, turning wild and unpredictable. Above, the sky churned with angry purple clouds, lightning flickering in the distance, casting eerie shadows across the tangled undergrowth. She felt small and vulnerable beneath nature's immense power, but a spark of determination flared within her. Lacey knew she had to keep moving, no matter how fierce the storm became. What began as a simple afternoon walk had now become a true test of courage and resilience. Every step forward was a battle against the elements, but she refused to give in to fear. Taking a deep breath, Lacey squared her shoulders and marched forward into the heart of the storm, ready to face whatever challenges nature would throw her way. Rain hammered down, blurring the world into water and sound. Lacey shielded her eyes, wind howling like a wild animal. Lightning split the sky, illuminating the forest in a flash. Then darkness crashed back, deeper than before. Thunder boomed, shaking the ground beneath her feet. The storm's music was overwhelming, but awe-inspiring. The air was fresh and electric, the world washed clean. Despite her fear, Lacey felt alive, part of nature's wild symphony. She pressed on, a small figure in a grand, untamed show. Fear and excitement battled inside Lacey as the storm raged, the wind howling around her like a living thing. Her heart pounded in her chest, every flash of lightning illuminating the wild determination in her eyes. She could feel the cold rain soaking through her clothes, but she barely noticed. Her mind was racing with thoughts of what lay ahead. The world felt both enormous and claustrophobic, the storm pressing in on all sides. Lacey's breath came in quick bursts as she tried to steady herself, feeling the raw energy of nature all around her. She was terrified, but also alive in a way she'd never felt before. The storm was a test, and she was determined to pass it. Alone and far from home, she worried about getting lost or struck by lightning. Every shadow seemed to move, every crack of thunder made her jump. But the thrill of adventure surged through her. This was real, not a movie set or a story she'd read as a child. She was living it, moment by moment. The storm's power was terrifying, yet exhilarating. It was as if the world itself was daring her to keep going. To prove she was stronger than her fear, Lacey focused on her goal: find the cabin, get to safety. She pictured the warm light in the window, the promise of shelter and dry clothes, and let that vision pull her forward. She repeated to herself, "I can do this. I am brave." The words became a mantra, steadying her nerves and giving her strength with every step. Each step forward was a victory over fear, a small triumph that built her confidence. The storm could not stop her, not tonight. She drew strength from stories of explorers who faced greater dangers, remembering how they pressed on despite the odds. Their courage became her own, a guiding light in the darkness. This storm was her chance to discover her own courage, to prove to herself that she could face the unknown and come out stronger on the other side. Determined, she pushed deeper into the wild, her spirit unbroken, ready to face whatever the storm and the night might bring. Bravery alone wouldn't save Lacey. She needed to be smart. She avoided tall trees, knowing lightning seeks the highest point. Staying on the slippery, muddy path, she moved carefully, searching for trail markers. To fight the cold, she kept moving, swinging her arms and lifting her knees. She listened for dangers, rushing water, falling branches, or signs of life. Every choice mattered. Her focus and caution kept her safe. Lacey's senses were sharp, her mind clear. She was no longer just surviving, she was adapting. The wild was unpredictable, but she was in control. Each smart decision brought her closer to safety. On a night when the world seemed to tremble beneath the weight of the storm, a faint, desperate cry suddenly pierced the roar of thunder and the relentless drumming of rain. A sound so out of place, it sent a chill down Lacey's spine. Lacey stopped in her tracks, heart pounding, straining to hear through the chaos. Mew! Mew! The unmistakable sound of a kitten, lost and terrified, echoed through the darkness, barely audible above the storm's fury. In that moment, her own worries and fears faded into the background. She knew she couldn't ignore the tiny voice calling out for help. She had to do something. She had to help. Calling softly, Lacey followed the plaintive cries, her shoes squelching in the mud as she searched. Finally, beneath a dripping bush, she found the source. A tiny, shivering orange kitten, soaked to the bone and trembling with cold and fear. With gentle hands, she scooped the fragile creature up, feeling its rapid heartbeat against her palm. Carefully, she tucked the kitten inside her jacket, pressing it close to her chest to share her warmth and shield it from the storm. The kitten snuggled in, still trembling but comforted by her touch, its tiny body seeking safety and reassurance in the shelter of her arms. Now, Lacey's purpose was clear. She had a mission: to reach the cabin and protect her new friend from the wild, unforgiving night. She returned to the muddy path, one hand protectively over the kitten, feeling its warmth and fragile hope against her heart as she pressed on through the wind and rain. "Don't worry," she whispered softly, her voice barely audible above the storm. "We'll find safety together. I promise I won't let anything happen to you." With every step, Lacey's fear melted away, replaced by a fierce determination. She would not only rescue the kitten, but she would also find the courage to save herself. With the kitten close, Lacey pressed on, hope growing with every step. At last, through the rain, she spotted the ranger cabin, a beacon of safety. She hurried inside, shutting out the storm. The cabin was small and dusty, but it was dry and safe. Lacey dried the kitten, who purred softly in her lap. The storm's fury became a distant rhythm on the roof. Relief and pride washed over her. She had faced the wild and won. She'd saved herself and a helpless creature. Lacey Chabert, once just an actress, was now a true explorer and rescuer. She smiled, knowing she'd never forget this adventure.